10 things you should know before you turn 40. That's next on StonePark Podcast. Dream, build, connect. Hello once again. I am David, your host. Across from me, as always, Carlos, my co-host.
David, we're back at it.
We're back at
Another one.
Yeah. This one, I think I'm dedicating to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you just turned 39.
That's right.
And you love getting older.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that post of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were looking like a superstar. You actually look like 29.
Yeah, man. It's a blessing, man. Every year, it's a blessing. So I embrace age, man, so I look forward to it.
We're so opposite because for my birthday, I don't tell people when my birthday is. No. And I try to hide on my birthday. Not that I have fear of getting older. It's just I don't like that spotlight, if that makes sense. But right. With you were like, hey, man.
It's my birthday, man. You know what I mean? And there's so many people that are underground that wish they had a birthday. And that's how I see it. I see it as a blessing. I see it as celebrated. I see it as don't ever get too old to not be, or I'm too old to celebrate a birthday. Nah, never that.
And I wasn't going to bring up death in this episode. I told myself I do it too much. You just did it.
It goes with it, man, because it's important. Celebrate. Yeah. Celebrate life.
No, I totally agree with that. So let's get into it. And I know that you do this as well.
Yeah.
You get on the short videos, right? What's your social media preference when you're watching short content?
I find a lot of entertainment on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Instagram is probably my favorite one.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's shorts on
That's YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm on YouTube a lot, and then you just get sucked in.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that when you're watching it, yes, it's an entertainment, but it's figuring out who you are as a person. So who are you on those platforms? What type of videos are coming out?
I get a lot of self-empowerment, kind of like Jordan Peterson videos, stuff like that. Just a lot of psychology stuff.
Motivation.
A lot of motivational motivation videos and stuff. So
yeah, mine is more a lot of like NBA stuff, old school 90s.
Yeah, I get a lot of hip hop stuff too, though. A lot of music.
Yeah, I think I get some of that as well. Yeah. A lot of motivational stuff, a lot of business stuff. And when I'm watching it, usually it's like when you're winding down. So you're not thinking about work, but as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking about work. So what I try to do is I try to save the videos.
Yeah.
The ones that mean something. So if you go into my Gmail drafts, I got like 700 drafts of just links.
Yeah.
And there was a link that popped up that reminded me of you because it said the things that you need to know before you hit 40 or things that you should know at 40. Yeah. I was like, this is a perfect one for Carlos. That's because cool. you got one more year. And then for me, I'm already in it. So I should say yes to all these, really, right? So what happened was I saved the link and I think I sent it to you. And then it was like a broken link. It like another video popped up.
Evolved into something. Yeah.
Oh, I was so mad. So then I try to find this link, and it's I couldn't find. I found similar links, and they weren't as good. So when I was looking at it, I was like, man, this would be a perfect episode for us to do, but I can't find them. So then it was just a mad hunt to find. This video. I didn't find it, but I found a ton of articles and other videos, and I kind of made my own top 10 list.
Okay.
I mean, there's tons. It's surprisingly, people think about this. So it's a good way for you to enter your 40s. So this is your last year in your 30s. It's a good way to have this on the brain. And then maybe,
Yeah, let's do it, man. Looking forward to this one.
The first one, stay silent. Not everything needs to be said.
I could agree with that. Yeah. I think that when you're young, you don't have a filter, and having a filter will get you a long way.
Yeah. I think working with you and being with you a lot, you're very good at that.
Yeah.
Because even when we are talking, sometimes I'm waiting for you to say something. I want you to debate with
Right.
me. I want you to interact. And
Yeah.
you stone cold.
Yeah.
Stone cold.
Yeah.
The one debate that we had recently, you came out of your shell and you were like, David, what's the problem?
Right.
What's the problem? And it was interesting to hear you say something, because usually you keep quiet.
Yeah.
You're usually a team player. You don't like to get into too much back and forth.
Right.
But it showed me that when it was time to be passionate, you were.
Yeah.
Right? You were standing up for yourself,
Yeah.
and you were trying to figure out, hey, what is the problem here?
Oh yeah, having a filter, it's good. Not everything that you're thinking, it doesn't have to come out. It doesn't mean that you're being fake or you're not speaking your mind. It's just that there's certain things that you don't, there's no need. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it could go into a whole different direction that didn't need to go. You know what I mean? Just off an emotion. And sometimes it's just an emotional reaction or emotional thing that you're going to say. And it's not important.
But I also have heard that sometimes when you're silent, the other person thinks that you might be smarter than what you really are. And I've used that when people are talking and you want to say something, just to say something, be a part of the conversation and make it look like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to just be quiet.
True.
And no one knows what you're thinking.
True.
And sometimes a silent person, you're like, damn, you're thinking that they're a mastermind.
Yeah.
So for younger entrepreneurs, you want to dance for people. You want to show them that you know things, but maybe the best thing is just to be quiet.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. If you find someone smarter than you, work with them. Don't compete. Competition is weakness.
And I don't think competition is weakness. It's good for you. But competing with somebody that's smarter than you, it'll make you level up your game, but it's not really going to help much. I mean, it would help you more to learn from them rather than try to compete with them. So, I mean, I think that statement is pretty accurate as well.
Yeah, I agree with the competition, because you need competition. That's what keeps you sharp.
Yeah.
But getting older and then working with someone that is on the same project and you guys are working towards the same goal, that doesn't make sense to me. It's a waste of time. That's a young man's game. Or a young woman's game. And you'll learn as you get older, you want to be surrounded with people that are just smarter than you.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to get things done, and you want to be good at something else so that they can do whatever it is that you're not great at. So I totally agree with this statement.
Yeah, I think being a leader, it'll come at the right time. You don't have to be a leader every time.
For sure.
So
For sure. Okay, next one. Only spend time with people you care about. Simple one.
yeah, that's mandatory. I think that should be, from day one. You know what I mean? I don't think it's before 40 or by 40.
Well, look, when you're younger, are you really trying to hang with your parents?
Right, but that's the thing. It should be, it should be something that it should be always,
Sure.
because you never know. I agree with the statement, but what I'm saying is I don't think it should be one just for by the time you hit 40, I think it should be all the time.
Yeah. So as I've gotten older, my body tells me who to hang with.
Mm-hmm.
So if I feel anxious and this is outside of work.
Yeah.
At work, you need to interact with people that you might not like.
Right.
You got to get things done.
Yeah.
Or you have to coexist with someone. But I'm talking about on your free time, like let's say it's a weekend, you're going to a party. The people that you hang with, those should be your people. Those should be the people that you trust, that you feel free with.
Right.
when my body gets tight, I know I got to roll out. That's when I do.
You feel like tension.
I feel the tension, and I feel, why am I here? There's nothing for me to prove.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, that statement is very true. I believe it. I just think that it should be all the time. Now, like you said, man, when you're a teen, do you really want to hang out with your parents? No. I mean, I agree. We did it, but in hindsight, right now that I'm older, I think I should have.
Well, yeah, and then I don't agree that you need to hang with your parents when you're young. Go out and do your thing. Yeah. But by 40, you should know you should be hanging with your parents if they're still alive. Yeah. You should answer those calls, because those calls aren't always going to come.
For sure.
And then you're going to regret.
Oh, yeah,
that,
for
right?
sure.
Okay.
That was good. I like that one.
Yep. Next one. Just because someone is aging doesn't mean they are growing.
Oh, yeah, man. I know a few people that are a lot older, but mentally they're not. You know, and I've seen it. Like I could see it, and and I'm way younger than them. You know, and I look at them and I say I don't want to be them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I think that statement is true. I mean, just because you have white hairs and gray hairs doesn't mean that you're old, that you grew. You know what I mean? And yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know.
So I saw this guy walking across the street. I'm in my car at a stoplight, and he got the Jordan 4 Fire Reds, okay? And they're clean, man. They're real clean. And then he also has this like old Chicago Bulls jumpsuit, I guess. And he was walking in this weird way. And I was looking at him, and he's our age, maybe a little older. And it goes back to how old are we going to be still rocking J's?
I was just going to say that, exactly that I could flip it back on me, right? And I was going to tell you about that one time that I told you that I had those purple 5s, you know what I mean?
Jokers.
Yeah, the Jokers. And I even got I did a lace swap, and I put some like sky blue laces just to give it the different, the contrast, and it looked fire. But when I actually had them and I put them on my feet, I was like, nah, man, I can't do this. Like, how much longer can I go? How much longer can I hold on? And so, people could look at me and say that, be like, well, I mean, you're talking over here, but I mean, you still sometimes, you're wearing that clothes that, you should be maybe tucking your shirt, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So I could have, this one here could kind of backfire a little bit, but I do agree with the statement. I do agree also that just because you're at a certain age doesn't mean that you actually grew with your number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and it's also really, it's for people that are giving you advice that are older than you.
Mm-hmm.
So young entrepreneurs are looking for mentorship, and they're going to have people that have done it before, supposedly,
right,
and that are older. And just because this person is telling you something doesn't mean that it's fact. Right. And you have to be able to see if the knowledge is good or not.
Yeah.
So you being able to determine that's a skill right there. So at our age, we should be able to see whether someone is talking junk or really talking facts.
Yeah. I mean, being younger, right, and seeing that older person and seeing how they act or where they're at in life, that alone, it just kind of, that's an advice in itself without even them saying nothing.
Yeah.
And it's up to you. I mean, do you want that for yourself? And if not, then start working.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. All right. Next up, nothing meaningful in life is easy, and nothing easy in life is meaningful.
Another one that's, very accurate as well.
And I think this one comes from you just being older and realizing what it really means, because just reading it, it's kind of like, oh, no crap.
Yeah.
But really looking at it and going through certain things in life, you really understand that.
Anything that comes easy you don't really appreciate, and everything that you work hard for is much appreciated, so it does mean a lot, you could go back into, back in the days when you really had to go hunting for your food. I think that it meant more to have to go hunt and bring back, dinner, than like now we have it so easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that men probably back in the days, caveman days, like it was some type of pride, to come back with, with the biggest buck, you know what I mean? And we don't really have that no more.
Mm-hmm.
Not like that, so I think that whatever, you do work for, and, it does mean more than something that's so easy,
Mm-hmm.
So that statement is very true as well. What do you think?
Yeah, and I'm going to throw it back to you with your cleaning business.
Mm-hmm.
Remember before the pandemic,
Yeah.
things were rolling. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden COVID hits and then it's wiped out,
Yeah.
right? To get back on track, you guys really, really had to
Yeah.
put everything you had into it.
Yeah.
And now that you did and you were able to overcome that, I see your business going
Yeah.
full force.
100%.
And
It
I can
means
see
more.
I could see the attitude in
Yeah.
you and your wife.
Yeah, it means more. It meant a lot before,
For sure.
but when it was taken away, now when we got it back, it's like, it's more of a baby.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you're really sheltering it. Sometimes we have issues with some of the ladies, and we're like, we're not gonna lose these houses because of certain attitudes, or you're not gonna listen. Like, and sometimes we have to let people go, but it's that important.
Yeah. And then when you get older, you realize that everything that you do, there's a process. So let's just take the podcast, for example. It would be nice that we put our first episode up and we get crazy subscribers and
Yeah.
downloads.
Yeah.
That would be nice. But at the same time, we would feel like, oh, this is easy. And we found out quickly it's not easy. When
Yeah.
it came to recording, editing, posting, promoting, it's all hard. It's
Yeah,
all hard. So
for
when
sure.
we do get that subscription or we do get that download, it means a lot. And being older, you understand it, right?
For sure.
Now, if there's no progress, right? There's a fine line. If there's no progress, you're old enough to know, hey, this isn't working. Why isn't it working?
Right.
Not quitting, but figuring out a way to change it and stick with it. And that's the journey part. So that is what means a lot to, you, your company,
Yeah.
your employees. That's something that you have to keep in your mind when you're running a business.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
All right, next up.
That one was good too.
Yep. Look, honestly, we could probably do 100 of these. And it was funny because I try to pick some that I agree with, 1,000%, but then some that like I gotta wiggle through,
Right.
and because at 40 I should be cool with this, right? I should be cool, but some of them, need a little work. Okay, so next up, how you do anything is how you do everything. I so agree with this. And an example, what I do is I look in people's cars. I like to look in people's cars. So I always pick, hey man, like when we're at the job site, hey, take me to this house over here so I don't have to walk. And I'm looking at the vans that we give. I like to see how they keep the vans.
Yeah. Tells you a lot.
Tells you a lot. Are there wrappers everywhere? Are things organized in the back? Are your tools nice and ready to go? Do you have leftover material? Like I get a glimpse, a snapshot of who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that, just because you might have a messy car doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but it's something that I do like to do. And even the smell, just sniffing, just like, what does this car smell like? Does it smell like something bad, or does it smell like you care?
Yeah, I think that's also very true. And it also applies in life with a person, right? And I need to work on this one, actually. So, like this one, I would say that somebody that's very fit and that's always exercising, and it's like really like determined with that, they're more disciplined. You know what I mean? And that applies for different things. Like they'll probably be more disciplined for anything because they've shown that, even just through like health and exercise.
There's like a clip of Biggie, because you put Biggie over there. So I just looked at it, reminded me of this, but there's a clip of Biggie, and I think Jay-Z used that clip on the Black album on, what is the song called? My Last Song. And Biggie's basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that he looks at everything like an intern, like it's his first project. And that album came out in 2005, 4? So almost 20 years. That's always been on my brain. Every new project I get into, I think of Biggie saying that you always have to act like an intern. And what do interns do? They work hard. Yeah. They learn, and it doesn't matter who they're learning from. They're listening. So I think that's what's always on my mind. And when I see that in others, I feel like, okay, we're okay here, because you can learn anything, but that if you want to call it discipline, or that hunger to learn and to be connected with whatever it is that is being thrown at them, that's it right there. Yeah. So, if you're lazy with your work, the chances are you're lazy at home, right? And vice versa.
Right.
But if you're on point and you see people on point, you want to be with those people. And at this age, I think I'm working on this as well too. I can put myself in this category for other things in my life. There are things that I do want to do and take care of, but for the most part, I try to think like that all the time. Yeah. And especially when I'm meeting new people or new clients, it's good to put your best foot forward, but also to show it, to show like, oh, okay, these guys are on top of it.
Yeah. So this one right here, I think I still got to work on, because not everything that I do the same. There's some things that I'm more passionate about than others. And one would say, if that's how he does this and that's how he does everything, that wouldn't be really true, because there's other things that I really put my all in, and other things I'm just like, you know what I mean? So it depends on what you're judging me on. If you're judging me off what you see me really going hard at, then you'll be like, oh man, he must do everything with everything. So that statement can really be.
So I'll give you an example. Mike, right? My business partner, he's good at that. So everything that he does, he goes all in. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, Carlos, he's ready to do this. When he's motivated, he'll go for it. Right. But when he's not motivated, he's not touching anything. He's like, nah.
Yeah, but that's because he'd rather just not even do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, this one here, I like it. I need to work on it.
Yeah, so do I. Okay, next one. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I think, 100. I think that's where it starts, for growth, personal growth.
I think you would be good at this. I would need more work, because I'll be honest, sometimes I do hold a grudge, right? And I'm working on that I just need to get over it. And what that will do for me, like imagine my brain only has so much space, like, why you all, what do the kids say nowadays? Like, renting space in your, whatever it is. I don't know.
I've heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's true. Like just imagine a pie, right? Your mind and your thinking. If you're just giving energy, even like 5% to someone that means nothing, but it's just because of some kind of discrepancy or argument you had, something happened, let that go, right? And not passive aggressively forgive them. Just say, hey, we're good. It doesn't mean that you have to be their friend. It doesn't mean that you have to do business with them again. Just let it go and on to the next.
Yeah.
So I think this one would be good for me to work on.
And also forgiving yourself. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is that maybe you've done or you feel guilt about, understand it, accept it and move forward. You know what I mean? And don't hold your own grudges over on yourself for whatever you've done.
I got to work on that too.
So being hard on yourself is good because it keeps you, like true, but at the same time, give yourself a little wiggle room.
All right, next. There's no such thing as life without problems.
Problems? What's that? I've never heard of that.
Well, I saw a video of a guy. He had a good video. It was like, I think he did 40. He might have done more, but he was just going through them.
Yeah.
And he used Warren Buffett as an example. Okay, so you got all the money in the world. You don't think dude has problems? So you think that the grass is greener, but it really isn't. It's just leveled up.
100%. Man, there's no life without problems. Like it's
but
part of it.
You don't learn that until older.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, actually, I think even as a kid, there's problems. It's just that they're not really on your control.
Yeah, but as a kid, I think that you strive to work hard so that you don't have problems, right? So we kind of equate, if I had all the money, I wouldn't have.
Yeah. I see
right?
what yeah.
And then when you have that money, there's a whole set of new problems.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're like, okay, well, if I get even more money or if I get a team around me, so I'm not doing all these things by myself, there's even more problems, right? Because an employee comes up to you and says, hey, I need your help. You're like, whoa. Now I'm dealing with your problems, but you got to do that.
Yeah.
So no matter what, that's what you said. What's life without problems? Like there's always going to be problems.
No, you're right. Because when you're young, what do you say? Oh man, if I had this, I wouldn't we wouldn't have to worry about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not the reality.
Right. So it's a childish mentality.
It is.
And then when you get older, you realize, like you're not asking for it, but you're prepared for it. And then when it comes, you're not going crazy. You're like, okay, let's deal with this.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking this, okay, I'm going to get everything kind of lined up, right? And then when I think everything is good, my kids, their problems are going to start coming. And then that's when I got to kick in as the older father and like, yeah, I got you. Let's do this. Yeah. And then deal with that because they're going to be going through it.
For sure.
Just like we did and our parents took care of us. So I think this is a good one. And it just shows you that you're not going to get away from it. And if you embrace it, I guess you can, I don't want to say enjoy it, but you can enjoy it, right? Yeah. Because problems, my wife said something. She says, stop calling them problems. Call them situations. Call them things you need to do. Mm-hmm. And if you start looking at it that way from a positive perspective, you can kind of look at it and say, okay.
She just right there, what she did is she just minimized it. Like took the power away from the word. You know what I mean? And that's important. I do that a lot, for everything. I always minimize. Like I told you, my wife sometimes is like, you act like you don't care, and it's I do care. I just minimize it. And that's true. Take the word away. It's not a problem. It's a situation. So yeah, that's cool. That's dope. I like that one.
Yeah. All right. Next up, trust your intuition.
Yes.
Easy.
I think that's something that, from early on, once you jump out the porch and that one, that first time when your mom, your parents let you walk away from them for the first time, you know what I mean? That one time when you're able to kind of get away from their supervision because they kind of trust you now to kind of, go out and play. Not at the park in the swing where she's watching you. When you actually kind of wander off.
Off topic here, but when you were able to do that, were there like boundaries? Like your parents said, okay, you can go to that house, don't go past that house, don't go out of this. So there was like an imaginary line.
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
And if you crossed it, you felt that you were doing bad.
I was being a bad boy.
What's so funny is that my wife never experienced that. She was on lockdown. Like she got to play maybe outside the door.
Yeah.
But that was it. We got to go real far into other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And when you crossed that backyard, I was like, yo, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm out there, having the time of my life. But it's funny. It makes me feel like a kid again talking about that.
Yeah. It's a feeling of, it's kind of Lion King, when Simba and Nala are like playing, and then they go into the dark lands, and they're just kind of like, well, that's how I felt. I remember, being out there playing, and then like my mother and my father used to be like, hey, it's just kind of like a block radius, because back in California, the setting of like the way the homes are, it's just in blocks, and then like she would be like, oh, you go up to a couple, a block, and just to block the area. And that was more than enough space. But you know what I mean? Once
there was always that bad kid, right? That
exactly.
kid that didn't have any boundaries. They're like, come on, let's go. Come on. The candy's over here. And you're like,
yeah. So yeah, I mean, definitely, man. Being out there as a kid, your intuition, it needs to kick in.
Yeah.
So by the time you're 40, man, you should definitely have it. You know what I mean? Now, if you've never been out, you've been sheltered, maybe you don't know about your intuition, and those are the experiences that you're probably missing,
So remember the past episode we had with Vanessa, and she talked about her car accident, and she went through the night. And if you haven't heard the episode, go back to it. It's a good story. She says that her intuition told her, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think the friend was late by multiple hours, like 4 hours. Yeah. And really her body is telling her, hey, whatever it is, her intuition is telling her, don't go. But when you're young, and she's in her 20s, right? So that probably happened in her mid 20s. When you're young, you feel like you need to do those things. You feel like you owe your friends certain, I don't know, slots of time of your life. I remember when my friend would call me, we're going here, and I didn't want to go. I'd still go because that FOMO, or your friend needs a partner or whatever it is. And as you get older, 40s, that doesn't mean anything.
True.
But you should be listening to what your gut tells you. And if your gut is saying, don't do it, don't
Save
do
your
it.
butt, man.
Yeah.
It definitely saves your butt.
Right. So she didn't listen, and then she got in a horrific car accident.
Yeah.
Which changed her life, but you should definitely check that episode out.
Yeah.
But definitely trusting your intuition is a must.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Be yourself. It's much easier than trying to be someone else.
Yeah, man. Be yourself, man. There's so many people that try to impress others by, putting on a costume, on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? And we're nowhere near Halloween. There's no need to impress. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think this is hard for younger people because you don't know who you are yet, right? Yeah. There's a very few. Like there was this kid, Ben Posen, went to high school with him. He was like a grade above me.
Man, he had a last name of a champ.
Ben Posen. He was that dude. He was like the chillest guy. And there was a point in time that he just started wearing suits to school. Like suited and booted, not suits, but like slacks. And he would tuck in his shirt, and he just had this presence about him, and
sports blazer and everything.
He didn't have the blazer, but he was just on point. Just like he and what he would say and how he would carry himself. The reason why I bring him up, he knew who he was. I bet you if 20 years later, go see him, he's the same guy. Obviously evolved, but at that age, he kind of knew who he was. He wasn't trying to be someone that he wasn't.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because there was one time, and this is totally off topic, but there was this one time we were all smoking cigarettes, and I get a cigarette, and he calls me out in front of everyone, and I think it's like some house party. It's outside under the deck, and you got all the smokers, and I grab a cigarette. He's like, David, what are you doing smoking?
You don't even smoke.
Dude, he called me out. I felt.
Shout out to man.
Yeah.
Man.
In high school, man, your stock is your everything, right? So my stock plummeted.
Whoever invested in you was mad as hell. It was a rug pull that day.
But I'll never forget that. And I saw him years later, and I thanked him for that because it was honest. He was like, man, he said, listen, I would give anything to not smoke. Because he was addicted at the time, and all those people smoking were addicted at a young age, and he was basically telling me like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And it kind of goes with like trying to be someone else, right? I'm trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Why am I smoking?
It definitely goes with this.
So it's young people that it's harder for young people, but hell, it worked. The example works. That even at that age, he knew himself.
Yeah. No, I mean, this applies for a lot of people, man, especially young people. You always want to be extra cool, you know what I mean? Or you see something on social media and you want to mimic it, and it's not you, you know what I mean? And you don't have to do that, you know what I mean? You don't have to be be cool or whatever, It's like,
cool to get likes or subscribers. Be honest with yourself, and then it's easy. And when you start lying or telling stories that are fabricated, you forget those stories. But the people that you told them to always remember. So when they see you, they're like, "Hey, Dave, remember that story that you said this and said that?"
Yeah.
And you're like, Now, if it's a real story, you're on point. But if you just, living someone else's life.
Yeah. Nah, it's funny. I just remember my brother, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin again.
Kevin.
My brother was like, man, bro, I don't know how you do it. He's like, you too real, man. You transparent as hell in the podcast.
Oh, you?
Yeah. He says, and he'll probably laugh about this or probably even comment on it and be like, oh, man, because he was like, man, he's like, man, I was listening to the podcast, man, and, it's funny because, you transparent as hell, man. Like, you too real. Like, you say whatever it is that, how you feel, and like, you don't be lying. And it's just the truth. You know what I mean? It's like, why? Like, why lie? You know what I mean? It's like, how can I come on here, right, and just say something like that it's a lie when there's people out there that know me? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be like, dude, you don't got no company. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you ain't no rapper. Dude, you never, you know what I mean? Like, just an example, right? Like, so, yeah, man, you just got to be yourself. You know what I mean? And when you're with yourself, you don't got nothing to worry about,
Yeah. And then also, when you're yourself, you're going to attract the people that you want in your life.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to who you want to be around with when you're hanging out. When you're not yourself, right? You're going to hang around people that are just not for you.
Barbershop, the movie, Cedric the Entertainer.
Yeah.
When they're running and he's like, they're like, I guess the Black Panther, they're going out on the protest. And they're like, yeah, we're going to go out here and we're going to go loot the place. He's like, yeah. And he's like, and then we're going to fight the cops. He's like, yeah. And then we're going to die. And then he's like, whoa.
I remember that.
You know what I mean? And that's always, I always laugh about that because, he was just trying to be so, but he's not that. You know what I mean? And that's what happens when you hang around people that's about that.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then, you know what I mean? Like, it's not you. You know what I mean? So be yourself. You know what I mean? Surround yourself with people that's like you, And
that's pretty much the list. That was the 10.
It's a good list, man.
I got a few more. We can just go quickly.
Go ahead.
These were the ones that I was just jotting down.
Yeah.
Trust people.
Yeah, it's okay. You could trust people. I mean, you can't go around living your life, so like paranoid. You know what I mean? Trust people until whenever they give you the reason not to trust no more.
Yeah, when you're younger, you get burnt a couple times. Now you can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
So there are good people out there, and for the most part, people are trustworthy.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, trust people until you feel a reason not to trust, more, and then just be wary.
All right, here's another one. You're never too old to learn something new.
Facts.
Easy.
The
family you create is better than the family you come from.
Sometimes it could be true.
Yeah.
I guess depending on your situation, there's some people that actually have had really bad starts in life. You know what I mean? So I could see somebody, having a pretty bad childhood and then growing up and, having a beautiful family and, of course, so it depends. I think it's in the situation.
I agree too, because my family is pretty good. Like I didn't really have anything bad, and I have love and respect for everybody.
Yeah.
But if something did go down, right, I could totally get it. And then your family that you create. So in my case, my wife, my kids,
right,
and then the friends around you. Those friends become family.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a small family, and I really relied on my friends, like my friends from elementary school, and I know them, and I talk to them to this day.
Yeah.
So those friends actually became family members.
Friendships that are like that long, that's more than friends. You know what I mean? That becomes family.
All right, so I got one. It's funny, but I thought of my wife. Wear sunblock daily. Do you wear?
I don't.
All right, so I want you to start wearing it, because if you look at my cheeks, you see the freckles?
Yeah.
Those are sunspots.
Oh, okay.
All right, and those things, what I've noticed is that they would come in the summer, right? Go in the winter, but there was a point in my life, in my 30s, those joints weren't leaving. I'm like, what's going on? And my wife always, since we got married, she's like, you got to put sunblock. And I never listened to her. And then when I started getting those dots, she's like, I told you, those are sunspots. That's because you don't apply it to your face. She says that I need to do it twice or 3 times a day, but I do apply it at least once in the morning. So I thought that was cool. And that's an old man, thing, right? Young people don't care. Yeah. It's just like, whatever, especially dudes. Dudes don't care.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it's one of those things where I'm like, sunblock for what?
Yeah.
and
it's you know what?
And we're bald, so imagine the sun just beaming on you. Like,
well, that's the thing. So we
just the sis.
I wear a hat just for that, because I see bald people, older guys, that they got the cheetah print on their head. You can't get rid of that. That's because they're not protecting their head. So a hat, sunblock, all that stuff, you need to put it.
I actually seen that. Dang, so that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you're still in your 30s, man.
I still got a year.
You still got a year. I'm gonna get on your 40th birthday. I'm gonna get I'm gonna hit you up. But it's a different type of sunblock. It's moisturizer.
Oh, okay. So what's the pH on that? Or what is
I want to say mine is like 20 or 30, something like that. It's not crazy high.
Okay.
But
it's just a little layer of protection.
Just a little layer, but
okay. Wait, well that's a good one. I mean, again, man, sometimes us guys, man, we're
buffoons. Man.
We don't.
I say cavemen.
Yeah, it's the truth, man. Like, that's why, man. Like, our women, man. Sometimes they got the right answers, man, and they look out for us in ways that we just don't think of. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, sunblock. Like, I'd be like, what? For what? You know?
Yeah.
But it's needed, man. You know, it's not only for when you go to the beach. You know what I mean? That's the only time that I think, that's the only time I only put some on. And that's because my wife does it. She's like, come here, let me put some sunblock on your back or whatever on you. And I'm over there standing there like this. You know what I mean? And she just, you know, and if you think about it, I mean, the sun is not out only on the times we go to the beach.
Yeah,
know?
man,
So
it's always there.
It's always there, man.
always
So,
there.
man, that's a good one. Shout out to your wife for that one. That was good.
For sure. Okay. I mean, that wraps it up.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. This one was fun. I mean, man, that was 10. I mean, yeah, these are easy, man. These, I think out of these 10, 2 are the ones that I was. So the sunblock one is the one I got to work on. I still got a year. And what was it? I think 6. Do anything. How you do everything or whatever.
For the people that are listening that are just younger, in your 30s, man, take care of it. Do it now. Take care of all this. You should be flying through this, because when you hit 40, you're like, oh yeah, I already did that.
Yeah,
I've been that.
Yeah, I've been doing this. You know,
and in
years.
In your 20s, you got a little wiggle room, I would say. Just keep doing your thing. But if you're mature enough to do it, I would say, you know, pick at the list and go online. I mean, there's so much stuff, and it really hits home, especially because I'm in my 40s and you're about to hit 40.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys like what you're hearing, please give us a follow at StonePark Podcast. We're on all social platforms. If you want to connect with us directly, we have an email set up, connect@stonepark.com. Carlos, until next time, let's dream, build, connect.